and keep all your aliases and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's got the ZSH, which stands for it's a different type of shell. We use a batch shell, the most popular one. The ZSH is also known as fish shell, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a different way of doing this. Use a batch cell, use a fish cell, use any other type of shell. It's still a way to get. This is just a slightly different.
Okay, so for us,
You're going to continue to use it.
I remember the reason I have ZSH is because remember that talk that Chris gave us about Git? He was talking about oh my ZSH, so I just decided to give it a shot, and then I spent all day like getting the colors the way I wanted on my prompt.
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but this is, I guess, maybe something that helps because you have all these aliases already built into ZSH for
Nice.
all these Git commands.
So you just get it for free.
Yeah. But it does a lot more than that, but that's all I really know about it, is it's easier to make colors and have these Git aliases. Okay.
Equivalent of YOLO?
No, I have YOLO in here typed out. Oops, that's T. Yeah. Okay, so back to this app. To help with testing and with accuracy, we're going to use a gem called geocoder, and that's because a lot of times, because we're doing this based on user input for the address. And Google Maps doesn't always play well with random, inputs. If we put in something like Chinatown, Google Maps is going to be like, there are so many. I'm just going to show the whole world, and that's not what we want. We want it to be a specific location. So to do that, we're going to use a gem called geocoder. Geocoder, let's see. How do we include a gem? Gem. Geocoder. I think that's all we're doing for now. And then I'm going to bundle install. So now we have 85 gems. And a nice way to test out APIs is in the console, right? So geocoder is going to kind of give us a bunch of information when we make a request. Oh, okay, anytime now. That's taking too long. Oh no. Wow, I have to do Command Control Z. That's too bad. Okay, so I'm just gonna do it in IRB. Let's see. So I can require geocoder because I don't have a gem file, so I have to actually require it. And I'm going to do an example like this. Uh-oh. What is this? I guess we've been making too many queries in the console. But this time it worked. Yeah, sometimes when you're dealing with third-party APIs, you just don't have a control over what they give you back, So you have to take that into account.
What time is it on your system?
Oops. What time is it on my system? 10:29. See. Okay, so I'm just gonna pretty print. So I have this. Oops. And if you say PP, it stands for pretty print, and you get something much easier to look at. I think that's just Ruby. So we have this data here. We have this result from Google, and we have this very specific data. We even have, and what we're really interested in is here. Inside the geometry key, we have a location key that gives us the Latin long. So we have the Latin long of the Eiffel Tower. So whenever you use the gem, you want to look at the docs. Let's pretend we did look at the docs, and we know that we can edit our model to geocoder information. So if we go to our location model, right now we have some validations in there that make it so that we can't have title or description be blank. And from the docs, we'll copy and paste something like this. So geocoded by address. So it's going to look at the address. And after validation, it's going to geocode it. So what we want is to use the gem to give us a Latin long for the location. And so let's run our tests. Okay. Okay, so pretty much all of our tests are broken. And it looks like they all have the same error. Undefined method latitude for location. Oops. So we didn't read the docs carefully enough. We need the location model to have a method of latitude, probably a column, right? So what we needed to do is we needed to make a migration and add the columns to our location model or to the database. So we're gonna bundle exec rails g migration, and we're going to make this migration file. Uh-oh. Looks like my Rails is broken. It's just slow. Really? This is so slow. I'm gonna try Spring Stop. Just as a Hail Mary. And try again. Oh, okay. So running via Spring. Whenever you have like a Rails command, especially like the generators, they usually say like running via Spring. Spring is annoying and it like gets bent out of shape sometimes and you have to restart it. So our migration, that generate migration made a empty migration for us, right? We still have to go in and edit it. So where do we do that? Let me get rid of some of these in our migrations, right? So what we want, oops, looks kind of like this. We want at column locations, at column 2 locations, right? This column and that column, and then the type of it. And these are floats. What's a float again? Yeah, it's a decimal. I like to imagine like they're talking about the number of digits it is. It just kind of floats out and it's as long as it wants.
Is it one column say locations comma latitude, or is it two columns? Looks like it's duplicate.
Yeah, this is kind of like 2. You can kind of imagine that's what it says.
First argument.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah, they just were lazy and had less typing. Okay, and then here, I think there's a number of syntaxes that work there though, like old ones and new ones. We're gonna migrate, right? I'm just going to, since I already have a server, I don't want to drop it. Just a lazy alias I have. Okay, and now do our specs pass? Specs take a while to run, huh? I remember one of our TAs, Matt, came in, he was talking about at work, he has to run the spec like 50 times a day, and it takes like 5 minutes to run this. So he spends all day waiting for the spec to run. And 5 minutes isn't enough to start working on something else. He's literally just waiting there. Okay.
There was a QA person. The specs took 4 hours to run, and he would literally just press start at the beginning of the day, on certain days, and just watch TV for the next 4 hours, and glance over occasionally. And then it was like, "Why are you bothering me? I'm compiling my code." And that was legitimate.
I want to work in QA. Okay. So the problem here, so we do have this nice geocoder working. I don't know if you noticed, but our tests are running slower. Like it takes a while to boot up, but then as it goes through, it's actually running slower here. Well, actually, no, that was pretty quick. It's because we haven't changed our test yet. Let's see. So we're going to add a test for geocoding. In location spec. So not in the controller, but for the model. So describe geocoding. It geocodes the model on save. So it makes a new location, and then when we save it, it'll expect the latitude and longitude to be something. We don't know what. Let's run it. It should fail because it shouldn't be nil, right? Unless the geocode is broken. Okay, so we expected nil and we got this giant latitude. And we're going to paste it in our test. We could do this, but the problem with this is this is really kind of also hard coding. It's really specific. Like this many digits is down to like the accuracy of less than a millimeter or something. And
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you just put in there like big, or just like the class that you expect it to be? Like you expect it to be like a number, like float, real number.
you could you could expect it to be a float, but that would be even We could do that too. I mean, it wouldn't be so specific because it could return any result, right? Let's see. I think we have an example here that is pretty elegant. We will expect location.save to change it. So that change method lets us test, kind of a before and after effect. So that's nice.
Did the last test fail if you're putting in hard coding nil in line 6?
The last test failed when I was hard coding in nil.
Line 6.
Here?
Oh, because it says expected.
Yeah.
Not the actual.
Because we didn't know what to put in there before. So we just had nil in there. But this should pass as long as the save changes the latitude and longitude. Ooh, we're lucky that can blow up. Okay. So, here we have tests that should be slow. I'm just kind of confused because they're fast. Maybe my internet is just slower at home. But each dot here is a test, right? And we should be sending an API request, an HTTP request for each one of these tests. And that's going to slow down our tests a lot, especially if we have slow internet. So to fix this, we're going to use some more gems. We're going to use a gem called VCR, like back in the old days, VCRs, and WebMock. That's going to mock our web requests and then record them into our VCR cassette so that we can replay these web requests and not actually have to make a web request for each test. Because that's not only going to suck up all our API bandwidth, but it's also going to take longer to run our tests. Right now, I guess it's okay with its fast internet and we only have 18 tests, but later if we have to run an HTTP request for each test, it's going to really be too much. We're going to add these gems in our development and tests. We're going to, because we don't need this for production. Okay, so the VCR docs say that we need to configure the library. And we do this by making a folder in here in spec called support. Oops, is that a folder or a file? Don't save. And then inside the support folder, we're going to make a VCR file. It's going to look like this. So we're going to configure VCR, and we're going to paste that from the docs in there. And that should be good to go because in here, we already have this here, where the Rails helper for helping with the spec already looks for all of the things ending with RB in spec support and requires it. So even though we didn't have a support folder, it was kind of built in there already. So if we run this test, everything blows up. Let's see. Oh my goodness. So there's currently no cassette in use. You might configure VCR. So that's probably the same for everyone. So what did we need to do? So if we go into our location spec, we have this here. And if we change this, we can make the test pass by adding this do block. VCR.useCassette saving location. So on this one test, location spec, I'm just gonna run them all. Before, this should change it so that one more test is passing. Yes, so now 2 tests are passing. So this made it pass. And this is because we needed it to tell it to use VCR. But there's an easier way. Instead of that line, we can say comma VCR do. That looks a lot nicer. And for our locations controller spec, with all these tests that are failing, we can change this do block to say comma VCR true do. And that should let us run these tests. Okay, so that was kind of slow. Let's see if it's any faster. It should have recorded all of those requests. That seemed maybe a little faster. 1.95. And so it was twice as fast. Although it took a while to load these files. Huh? So yeah, we succeeded in making our VCR record our requests. So does anyone have any questions right now on what we covered? What?
So VCR is recording request or response?
It's recording the response and the request. It's like if you want to make this request, you want this response.
So if it has the same request and response, stimulate that first one and go over it. So what if you make like a change to request? Will it re-record and then next time you do it?
It'll make a new request. If it's a request that it hasn't seen before, it's going to record that request so it can mock it later.
And it can tell which time it's something it hasn't seen before.
Based off of the test that so recent hit block, it requires calling out to the guy to make first time it will make a request, record the request, and then record the response. From there on out, like if you're running the specs again, they're going to say, "Oh, I already have a cassette for this. I don't need to record it." So it'll use the old version of it. Every single new spec that you have that hasn't been recorded yet, going to record a new.
How does it do that?
How does it do that?
Yeah, show me.
Which file? On the left.
I know. go to support, sets, fixtures, sets. So it literally just saves everything regarding the request. Like that, saved in just the YAML. And you roll down, there's a response that like that's
So it actually does like it actually sends a request to the server.
but it only does it once, and then it records it like this, so that in the future I don't have to make a new request. It just gets played and set.
I see. So
And what does the webmock do?
You use them together. So webmock takes this and kind of gives the test suite a response that it just parses this to imitate a response.
A response like an articulated browser, like a front end.
Yeah, the way I think of it is it just takes response and plugs it into the response that we do response.body with.
Okay. Like
Yes.
technically you concert.
Use what in concert?
You can use one without which one? VCR and
Oh yeah, you use them together. VCR and webmark.
VCR relies on
so after the first recording, then webmock takes over or something.
So let's see, for your assignment. So this is what we covered today. If you want, you can go through it yourself. I'll just push this up, what we have now. And here, you want to display the latitude and longitude, which we've included in our model on the show page. We want to change the Google Maps partial to use the latitude and longitude, because if it uses address, it'll still be that vague Chinatown or bathroom or whatever you put in there that it doesn't know what you're talking about. And we have a search bar that's not functional right now. We want to make some code that uses the .near of geocoder for searching. And you may want to move to a service object after you get it working. That will be a lot maybe for half the day. If you get farther, there's also using Twilio. So this is a third-party API that can send text messages. So if you want to be, that really annoying app that won't stop sending messages, you can you can make one here. But it's pretty cool because with not much setup, you can start sending text messages through your app.
I wrote the log so that it takes 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's a very impressive thing to show off as well. So yeah, there's no shortage of third-party APIs out there on the market. The popular ones are Twilio. Another popular one is the Twitter gem. So somebody wrote a library for Twitter. So all you got to do is just plug in like small little values, and you can post from your app straight to Twitter very quickly. You can use there's a there's a Google authentication. So instead of logging in and logging out using other people's, using your email and password, you can just click that button that says sign in with Google, and then you can get that into your app pretty quickly. The idea behind using third party APIs is in order to get an app that's working really well and people want to use, you're probably going to need more than just your stuff. Like, because it's kind of like when you, even when you use eBay, they have their own. They use somebody else to do payment processing. When you do eBay, they probably don't even host all of their own images because they're so large and there's so many of them. So they probably hook into Amazon or something like that. Um, so kind of pick and choose. There's no shortage of like stuff that's out there. One thing that I built was this is my first project. So we're going to talk about Heroku on Wednesday, so don't worry about what that is. But like I wrote something small called Flitter. It was like Twitter for flights, and I used something called the Flight Stats AI. I was only allowed, I think, 500 hits total to the database, so please do not hit this, or else I might get charged. Um, but basically, the idea was there's many tweets, right? I can CRUD I called them fleets. Like I can CRUD a fleet. I can create, read, update, and destroy a tweet about a flight. But I can also click like Spirit Airlines, and I can see all of the things that have happened today. So there's I think it's 500 a day. I don't think it's 500 total. So you can kind of see like this is all the flights that they had, and you can actually see flight 464 arrived at what time. Like this is all like I made an API request to Flight Stats API for them to give me back all of the information for the past 20 flights of the day or something like that. You can kind of see more or less some of them were early, some of them were very, very late. And then I have a small little thing called JavaScript D3 where I can be fancy and all the data can like move based off of this is all JavaScript happening on the front end. So I'm using another JavaScript library as an API for me to visualize the data. There's only so much you can do by yourself with just creating your own stuff. So hooking into other people's APIs is more or less going to be your job as a web developer, which is basically you have data, other people need this data, and then you just kind of feed them that data, and then you get a response back, and then you show something else on your page. Um, yeah. So most of your time it's CRUD and third-party APIs.
You have like a JSON file.
Yeah.
The only way to access those values.
Yes.
So you're going through like a thousand lines or thousands of lines of
Mm-hmm.
the only way you can do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the question was like if you make an API request and say, give me all the, if we're using Danny's idea, give me all the workouts for biceps or something like that. And he gets a JSON file back with all of the different things for biceps, like, and he wants to save it into his database. Yes, you just have to iterate through all of those thousands of records, but it takes 5 seconds at most for a computer. Computers are so fast with that kind of stuff. 1,000 records is nothing. If you're talking about 10 million records, it might take you a little while.
So you know that student tracker app that I've been tracking you guys with? Let's see. If I pull it up, in my controller, you have these HTTP party requests, right? So this is a post request. What does a post request do? Posting is, so there's and then there's post, right? Those are the two main ones. Posting is like when you want to post something, like you want to send something. And for me, I sent it to this link, which comes from a JSON file. So nice thing about GitHub is it's coder friendly, right? We'll give you event types and payloads. what I was looking for. So you can look at all these different types of JSON objects that they'll give you. The one that I like to use is pull request event, right? Every time there's a pull request event, it sends one of these out. And they're lucky because they pretty printed it out for you in this. We're lucky when we use this because this is what we want to see, right? We want to be able to scroll up and down and be like, okay, so this is one level in. So I want, if I'm all the way here, I can count how many I need. And if I want an href, like the one I was showing you earlier, like comments URL. So all I did was I posted to this URL. So I got this event, got this API URL from this JSON, and then I'm posting to that URL to put a comment on, and then you get your thumbs up. But
Post to that URL you're at, go somewhere.
yeah, I'm adding to their database, but it never hits my database. It's just in the console.
Instead of filling out not only if you're filling out the form, there's HTML. But he's Mike is literally just hitting their endpoint before. So he's bypassing all of that.
Mhm.
But you can't actually like post a JSON file where you like add another key value in the JSON file.
Say again, post a different JSON.
Like, you're not actually posting to that JSON file where
Oh no, this JSON file is one they're sending to me. The one I send to them is much simpler. The one I send to them, where is it? So this is just the URL I post to. So this whole, you can ignore that. That's just the URL. And this is my JSON. It's just one key and one value. The key of body equals this comment, whatever it is. Thank you for your hard work. Name. It's just that. So the JSON that I'm sending over is just one key value pair. It's just this. And you just want to find out for post requests or for get requests, whatever request it is, each API is going to want a different format. So you're going to want to give it the right headers, which often include your authorization token, and here's your environmental variable again. So I have in my Bash profile, I have a GitHub token environmental variable that authorizes this request to GitHub because it's a private repo. My GitHub, yeah. So this is a variable that is kind of, you can think of it as in your terminal. So you kind of put it in there, and then the process that the servers, the server has access to the variables that you've set in your shell. And there's another one. This is my username. But yeah, so
Can we see that terminal show?
the
Can we see that? We see your profile.
what profile?